Alright, so One Piece chapter 1024 just dropped, and this was a pretty good chapter. It's nice that we're getting a little bit of Yamato backstory. Alright, so let's go into the content of the chapter itself. It starts with Usopp making a lie about Conqueror's Haki, which of course now 100% confirms that he has Conqueror's Haki. In all honesty, Usopp having Conqueror's Haki could be an interesting character thing. I don't think it immediately makes him strong, which is a bit of a problem I see in the community where people will say someone having Conqueror's Haki just kind of makes them special. I don't really think that's the case. It is given to people who have the will to stand above others. Because people really want Sanji to have Conqueror's Haki now that Zoro has it, but that doesn't really make sense for Sanji's character because he's not trying to be a leader. Even his dream is something very passive, of just wanting to find the place that has all the fish. Does that sound like a very ambitious dream to you? Not really. But with Usopp, with him trying to be a brave warrior of the seas, of him trying to rise above all these other people to prove to himself that he's capable, I think that is something that could fit with Conqueror's Haki. And I know that I totally just missed the point I was trying to make, but Conqueror's Haki does not make someone strong. Are we saying that Don Chinjiao is weaker or is stronger than Sanji because he has Conquerors? I don't think that's the case. Conquerors does not immediately make someone unstoppable. It does not immediately make them special compared to everyone else. So Usopp's Conqueror's Haki could be kind of interesting. I also like how Speed has still basically been sticking around Tama like they're best friends. The whole situation with Speed is so funny to me. Just make her eat a Kibidongo and now she's just your slave for life. That's really funny to me. I also kind of don't like the way that Tama's been used in this arc, because once they eat the Kibidongo, they're just immediately on her side. It just makes it feel like it's a little too easy, just too convenient. I'm hoping that there will be some more conflict, that it's not just as easy as putting her cheek in everyone's mouth and then everything is fine. I want to see something more challenging than that. Alright, so I'm moving on to the next page. We seemingly have these fires. I don't know where these fires are coming from. I assume that there's just explosions or whatever going on. I'm not gonna focus too much on it. But the next part is Yamato versus Kaido, which is definitely the highlight of this chapter. So Kaido and Yamato basically sharing a lot of the same attacks. And one of the things I do think is kind of interesting is, despite the fact that, Yamato is I'm Odin, all of their attacks are just Kaido's attacks, which is kind of an interesting idea that I'm hoping will get explored, of Kaido bringing up, you're saying that you're Odin, that you're doing all these things, but all the attacks you are using are my attacks. So that's kind of interesting. Also, we found out that someone who is confirmed to have Conqueror's Haki, not a joke, but who is confirmed to have Conqueror's Haki, is Yamato, which I think is kind of interesting. So Yamato has the potential to be a leader, and I'm curious about where this is going to take them on their character arc, because obviously the most clear arc for Yamato is understanding that they do not have to be Odin. I think it's one thing to look at someone as a source of inspiration, as a source of strength. For example, look at Luffy. It's not wrong to admire someone and to try to embody some of the things that they do. Luffy, of course, is that best example, where he's trying to be like Shanks, but he's also a lot like Roger. So, when Bellamy attacked and beat the shit out of Luffy, he didn't fight back because that's what Shanks did in Chapter 1. So the idea of embodying what others were and trying to be like them is not inherently a bad thing, but obviously trying to literally be them is not a good idea. I'm also kind of liking this bit of dialogue between Kaido and Yamato, where Kaido, it's just in his character to break people's spirits, including Yamato. So just throws them in with the samurai and stuff. It's kind of funny. It's you have Conqueror's Haki. That could be incredible. I am instead going to break your spirit, because I guess breaking your spirit is going to make your spirit stronger. I don't know. That's kind of just funny to think about. But then these samurais, these absolute chads, they do not hurt Yamato. They instead allow Yamato to eat the rice, which is kind of an interesting little parallel to what happened with Luffy at the beginning, where, you know, the residents of Wano are effectively giving food to this outsider who is now going to help them. So that's an interesting little parallel, and I kind of like that a lot. And this one dude looks exactly like Denjiro. I think that's his name, right? The dude with the blue hair. I don't think this literally is Denjiro, because this doesn't make sense with the timeline. So I assume that this is just like a relative or ancestor. And I don't know who the other two are supposed to be. I can't see. I don't think it says their name anywhere. Yeah, one of them looks exactly like Denjiro. So I really do like Yamato's little backstory here, and getting to see Oden's journal. I'm really hoping that we're actually going to see the contents of that journal at some point, because that really needs to be expressed to us. So I'm not sure if Yamato is going to join the crew, but right now, for me, the biggest possibility of this person joining the crew is that they know the contents of Oden's travel journal. So it's possible that if this journal were to maybe get burned or whatever, then Yamato would be the only person capable of telling them the secrets that they would need to get to certain places. Like, for example, in Oden's travel log could have how to get to Raftel, although I guess that would be against the point, since the whole point is that they're trying to get all the red poneglyphs, so having a book that explains it all is probably not a good idea. But it's kind of interesting. So the chapter itself was kind of good. I definitely like this little spread with Kaido and Yamato. Oda has like I don't know how much of this is Oda and how much of this is his assistants, but it's definitely not totally completely clean. There's definitely a bit of scratchiness to it. And how the line work, how he just sort of like shows that speed of movement. It's really, really cool. And this is probably just slightly off topic, but I'm kind of curious because I'm also reading Jujutsu Kaisen, and if you're not familiar with that, there's a technique called Black Flash, which is basically like getting a critical hit on someone. And I'm curious if the Black Flash was inspired by a Conqueror's Hockey Clash by any chance, because that's kind of cool. I will see you next week for another review.